When I decided to trust Jesus, I stepped out into what was definitely not my comfort zone. I remember lying down on my empty living room floor and praying that God would make himself real and pull me through this. I continued to pursue Jesus, and I took the base classes at Calvary and began attending midweeks. I was in the Word and had a fire for knowing more every day. I started talking to God all day, every day, about everything. He was definitely working in my heart. All of a sudden, people using his name in vain was like nails on a chalkboard. I didn't enjoy the same music anymore. I started listening to Christian radio. Knowing that God was providing for me and that I could trust him and he cared changed my world. It was a slow process, but eventually I no longer desired to go out with my friends and do the things that we used to do. I was no longer feeling the need to find myself in someone else, in a relationship, in being wanted or valued. I was in a relationship with Jesus, and that was above everything else. I began to trust God with my finances and started tithing. I learned quickly that I always somehow had more money when I would give, even on a tight single mom budget when it doesn't make sense. We sponsor 2 children through Food for the Hungry and World Vision, and I took a big step of faith when God called me to do each of those, and never once have I felt like I wish I wouldn't have. God has provided every time. There was one year my car went out on me, and I had no funds for a new one. Luckily, my tax return was on the way, and I prayed about it and asked God to get me through until then. I knew that I didn't have to worry about it, and God would provide. Then I found out that my return was delayed, and a paper check would be sent in 6 to 8 weeks instead of my direct deposit I had planned on. This tested my trust for sure. If I trusted him to provide, it shouldn't depend on the circumstances. So I prayed, and I let him know I didn't know what he was doing, but I still trusted him. One day, my dad called me out of the blue, gave me someone's number, and told me to call him right away because they had a car to gift me. I was beyond confused, but I called. Sure enough, I was donated a 1991 Buick Century with only 60,000 miles on it. I was in utter disbelief. God did abundantly beyond what I had imagined. Now, not all of my prayers have been answered, yes, and I've gone through plenty of hard times and struggles. I went through all of the training to do foster care the summer before last for God to tell me, not now. I didn't understand because I thought he was calling me to be a foster mom. Well, shortly after God telling me to wait, I found out my daughter's dad was getting a divorce. I prayed and thanked God for allowing me to have the time to be there for my daughter through that difficult time. I have found to appreciate God's no's just as much as his yeses. God has answered so many of my prayers in ways that I wouldn't have even dreamt of. I have had the pleasure of being able to watch my baby girl accept Jesus as her Savior and be baptized. Currently, my daughter attends a private Christian-based homeschool in Douglas, Nebraska, and somehow I have found myself working from home and being able to send her to this amazing school that she is excelling at. I can't take any of the credit because if you saw my finances on paper, you wouldn't believe me. I have known that this is where he wants her, and I have trusted him that he would make it work, and he has. God has shown me that what I may think I want is never better than what he has planned. His grace has allowed me to let go of my perfectionism and desire to control. He reassures me that broken is okay. I didn't change my heart myself. I couldn't have. My wants, needs, and desires have changed because now I am no longer living for myself. I'm living for Jesus.